In disguise, a famous pop star slipped into the park and, for no clear reason, handed an old gold coin to a woman busking on the street. Before Jasmine could even ask what was going on, a swarm of frenzied fans rushed in and surrounded the star completely, leaving no room for the two of them to talk, and the star was forced to walk away from her spot. But what Jasmine never expected, the star suddenly ran into the street and was struck head-on by an oncoming bus. Bystanders pulled out their phones and started snapping photos, and Jasmine, still holding that coin, had no idea her whole life was about to change forever. To honor the star's sudden death, Jasmine went straight home and wrote a song. The next day, she went to the spot where the accident happened, planning to quietly perform it as a tribute, but she had barely sung 2 lines before the morning fans all turned around at once, completely drawn in by her voice, and burst into wild applause. Jasmine had been busking on the street for over 10 years, and applause like this had never come this fast or this hard. From that day on, her usual spot started drawing bigger and bigger crowds. Eventually, a well-known TV host heard about her and invited her onto his singing competition. Jasmine had never dreamed, not even in her wildest imagination, that a talent scout would ever notice her, so she accepted without a moment's hesitation and showed up at the country's most popular singing competition. Nerves shaking, she walked to the center of the stage, and staring at the row of indifferent judges, she suddenly froze, completely overwhelmed. Thankfully, after a bit of encouragement from the host, Jasmine finally worked up the courage to sing. But she had only sung 2 lines when the judges and audience, who had looked half asleep moments earlier, were suddenly and completely captivated by her voice, rising to their feet in applause for no clear reason at all. Seeing the scoreboard spike off the charts, the host announced on the spot that she would advance straight into the finals. Jasmine had no idea what was really going on, but the sheer energy in that room felt too real to fake, so she did not think too much of it. One day, she was out for a morning jog with her sister Zara when strangers started greeting her out of nowhere. She tried to buy a hot dog for breakfast from a street vendor, who told her he was a huge fan and refused to take her money. Right then, a little girl came running up, eagerly asking for a photo together, and wishing her good luck in the finals before running off. All of this sent Jasmine's confidence soaring, convinced her voice was simply that good. Carried away by it all, she abandoned her usual style, and against Zara's strong objections, insisted on performing in the finals wearing a light, breezy gown. By the time she got on stage, the cold had already stiffened her voice into a shaky, off-key mess, and she forgot most of her lyrics halfway through. But the judges and audience still rose to their feet regardless, as if controlled by some invisible force, screaming and clapping wildly for her performance. Confused by what she was seeing, Jasmine stopped mid-song and just stared at the audience, whose applause and screaming were so intense they blew out the scoreboard entirely. What she never expected was that, with 2 other contestants still left to perform, the host went ahead and declared her the winner on the spot. It left Jasmine feeling completely bewildered. Before long, her social media exploded with fans, and her front door was mobbed by devoted followers every single day. Something felt off, and Jasmine started suspecting it all traced back to that coin, as if it had been quietly working some kind of magic ever since she got it, and that was the real reason for her sudden, inexplicable fame. Hearing this, Zara suddenly understood that was why her sister, whose singing had always been fairly ordinary, had somehow just walked away with a competition trophy. Zara stared at the coin in her sister's hand, and her hand drifted toward it almost without thinking, but Jasmine pulled the coin back without warning, snapping Zara back to her senses. In the days that followed, no matter where Jasmine went, packs of frenzied fans would suddenly rush toward her, stripping away every last bit of her freedom. People camped outside her house around the clock, and no matter how hard she tried to drive them off, nothing worked. Even during her morning jogs, obsessed fans chased her down like something out of a zombie apocalypse film, clapping and screaming the entire way. Jasmine had no choice but to hide in a corner with Zara. Not knowing what else to do, Zara urged her to just throw the coin away, warning that there was no telling how much worse things could get. But Jasmine still could not bring herself to let it go. She never wanted to go back to busking on the street again. One day, Jasmine was invited onto a talk show, but before the host could even ask a single question, the audience erupted into screaming applause all over again. The host tried to calm the crowd down, but not only did the audience refuse to settle, the host himself lost all control and started applauding wildly too. Jasmine could not take it anymore, and got up mid-show to walk straight out of the studio, climbing into her private car to leave. But then she noticed the driver had suddenly let go of the wheel entirely, lost in a fit of uncontrollable applause. No matter what she did to stop him, nothing worked, so she reached forward herself and slammed at the controls until the runaway car finally screeched to a stop, just barely avoiding disaster. She rushed to the hospital in a panic, hoping to find Zara, who worked there, for help. But the moment the surgeons in the operating room laid eyes on her, they dropped everything mid-procedure and rushed over, clapping wildly. Even worse, the patient on the table, still halfway through surgery, woke right up, as if he had completely forgotten he was under full anesthesia. Afterward, Jasmine and Zara went down to a nearby river, and finally, at Zara's urging, Jasmine handed over the coin and let her sister throw it into the water. Following Zara's advice, Jasmine went alone to rest at a cabin in the woods the very next day. A week passed by in what felt like no time at all. One day, Jasmine stepped out to collect her subscription magazine and discovered someone had already taken her place at the top of the music world. Jasmine was instantly furious, waves of resentment and regret crashing over her all at once. In a fit of anger, she packed her things and headed straight back to the streets, determined to reclaim her place. But without the coin's power backing her, no matter how hard Jasmine sang, not a single person stopped to listen. Even the host who had once treasured her like a prized discovery now dodged her as if she carried the plague. Bitter and defeated, Jasmine looked around and saw nothing but posters everywhere, all promoting the new star who had taken her place, so she grabbed a knife and headed straight for the hotel where the new star was often seen. She shoved through the dense wall of people, burst free of the crowd, ran up right behind the new star and stabbed her without a moment's hesitation. Security immediately swarmed in and pinned Jasmine down, but the instant the new star turned around, Jasmine was completely shattered by what she saw. Never in a million years could she have imagined that the star who replaced her was her own beloved sister, Zara.